Hi everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. Today we're going to finish getting our 9 1/4 rear end put together for our little red 76 D100 pickup and get it put in. So what we got to do now is get the brakes put on this thing. So we're going to start. I haven't got the shoes yet. The shoes, I remember I told you earlier I had a good used set of shoes, but then I had to order a couple of parts and the shoes were like 22 bucks. So I said, you know what? Let's put new shoes on it. We'll see if we get the actual install done in this video. I'm starting to think about it now. There's probably plenty to do here. But anyway, what we got to do now is get the wheel cylinder on, get the flex hose on, and get the hard lines made up. Yeah. Okay, first thing we're going to do is install our wheel cylinder. And my tip of the day for these is that these often come from the land of almost fits. So before you get this thing underneath your truck all covered in guck, make sure you have bolts to hold it on, because sometimes they're metric, sometimes they're not. This one is 1/4-20 like it's supposed to be, but I've run into some that are metric, and I got to go scrambling around in my junk for little tiny short metric bolts. Anyway, so this is straightforward enough. These are the 7/8 ones that you use with 10-inch brakes. It just goes in there like that. We put our new bolts in from the back. And we'll tighten it up. Mary. Alright, we'll just get them snugged up. These here are the little push rods that operate the brake shoes. Got them cleaned up, and they just pop in there like that. Come on. Put a little silicone grease on them to make them pop in easier. There. Now we can install our new flex hose. I had to order this, and I almost ordered the one for the 76, which the truck is, and then I remembered, no, it's sitting on like an 86 or 87 frame. So I ordered one for an 87, and they are different part numbers. I don't know what's different about them, but this is the right one for that frame under that truck. Here's our little bracket that we made up. You'll remember the original one was rutted, and then this guy goes on here like this. There we go. And then this goes up here like that to the frame. This here and this one over here capture the parking brake cable. So what we can do right now is make the brake lines. They go down into this clip here, around the U-bolts, and up into the wheel cylinder. So here's our first brake line. Comes around, clipped into the clip that we made and welded on. And you have to give it a little clearance here because the U-bolts go up through here. So we're all set there. Now I'm going to put the vent hose on while I'm over at this end. So here's the little fitting. It's just a little barb that I had kicking around. So we'll screw that in there. That's a 1/8 pipe thread. And this is a vent hose we got off a 3rd gen Ram in the boneyard. It's good. I probably should, that's pretty small compared to that. So I'm just going to grab some oil or something so we can pop this on there. So we got a little spring clamp that'll hold this on once it's on. And we'll just get it over there. There we go. And put our little spring clamp on. And there's our vent. So the original vent was okay, but if you were, say, to go through a creek with this thing or something, and the water got up to there, you could fill your rear end up with water, and you don't want that. This is typically found on 4-wheel drive trucks, so that's fine. It doesn't care if it's 4-wheel drive or not. We'll just clip this up into the frame somewhere, and then if it gets into water that deep that it's going to fill up the rear end with water, it'd probably fill up the interior too. So now we'll make a brake line for this side, and this one comes out here, goes up over here, clips into this, down along, clips into that, and up into the wheel cylinder. So just make sure you give yourself enough line. I know you hate wasting it. I hate wasting it too, but it's really a waste if you bend it all up and it's an inch too short. I'd rather cut 2 inches off when I'm done than be an inch short, you know? So you just kind of, you could get, if you want, a kind of a piece of string or something, or even coat hangers, bend them up to get an idea of how long a piece of line you need. This is off the roll. You can go to an auto parts store and buy them in various lengths with the ends already on. And if you have to, if it's too long, you can just put a gentle swiggle in it or something. That's fine. You should see some of the stuff we used to do when I was a kid. I didn't know what a flaring tool was. I just knew they had brake lines at Canadian Tire. That should be long enough. And we'll go over and we'll get a flare on this end and go from there. And then these little bits that you cut off when you're done, you put them in the toolbox. You can't believe how many times you need a little vacuum nipple or something. You just put a half flare on it and drill a 3/16 hole and stick it in with some Loctite. Done that more than once on old carburetors and whatnot. All right, let's flare a brake line. I'll show you how to do that if you've never done it before. First, very important, you see jokes, memes on the internet all the time about a beautiful flare and the nut is sitting there beside it. It's happened to every mechanic at least once. So we make sure the end is nice. You can't cut it with a hacksaw and then do this. You got to cut it with a tube cutter, right? And once that's cut, then we put it in the right groove here of our flaring tool, right? So that's the 3/16 groove. We pull this up. Now, get the end snugged up. So this is the 3/16 tool for the first step. Now you get that down. You see that step on it there? That first step? That's the gauge of how much line to have sticking out. There. So now I tighten the one that's furthest away first, and then tighten this one after. Good. Then we're going to put this in. Then you put this guy on, and you get it, kind of jiggle it so it's straight, and then we run that down till it stops, till it bottoms out. There we go. Okay, so that's the first step. You see we've made a kind of a bubble on it, right? Now we take the little tool out, the die, I guess is the right name for that, and then we screw this right down with just the cone. And this is how we make it a double flare. So you're basically folding the line over on top of itself. And you tighten that down good. There you go. And there's what we've got. A beautiful double flare. Or inverted flare. You can also call it that. And there it is with the nut against it. Beautiful. Sorry about the focus. There, is that better? There we are. There it is with the nut against it. That's a nice inverted flare. Here's some of the tools you can use to bend this stuff. See, this one here does 3/16 quarter, or 3/16 quarter and 5/16 and 3/8. I think I do 3/16 and a quarter in this end here, 5/16 in the middle, and 3/8 over there. This one's same thing. It's got a couple of different dies that go on it. This is just a tiny little guy. This one's great if you're working in tight confines underneath a car. But for the most part, I found that this 3/16 stuff, it's really, really nice and soft. And you can pretty much just bend it with your fingers. Just be too careful not to bend it too tight, and because it'll kink, right? But if you're careful, once you get the hang of it, you can just bend the stuff with your fingers and it's okay. So we'll just start at the T here and work our way out, start getting it up. It's got to get into this clip first, and then we'll work our way down into there and then up into the wheel cylinder. All right, that's pretty good. So I'll go ahead now and put the flare on this end, and then we can do our final fitting. It needs a little tweaking at this end, but it's pretty good, really. There we go. That looks pretty good, eh? Now what we can do is pop in the parking brake cables, because they kind of need to be on the rear end when it goes under the truck. There we are. The short one goes on there, the left side of the truck, because that's what side of the frame they run down. The long one goes there on the right side, and it goes up over the differential. And you see here, they'll go into, there's a little bracket in the frame where they meet, and we'll adjust this. This might need, the long one might need a little tweaking in the bracket so it comes out at the right place, but that's pretty much how they go. And I guess that's it for now. I gotta wait to get my brake shoes, and in the meantime, we can get these brake drums on the lathe and start cutting them. We're doing the finish cut here on the first drum. It looks really good, but looks, you know, it doesn't matter what looks are. It matters what they measure at. So we'll get this cut done, get it off of here, and measure it up and see what we've got. Discard on these things is 10 inches and 90 thousandths. And this guy is at 10 inches and 18 thousandths. So let me mark that better. 10.018. So there's lots of life left in that one. Let's see what we could do with the other one. This one's kind of messed up. Hopefully we can save it. You can see right now it's touching just at the bottom, a little bit here in the middle, and you know, the usual ridge that the brake shoes leave on the outside. But we'll just take little cuts and go bit by bit. We don't want to take too much off. Just bit by bit, bit by bit. We'll sneak up on it, and hopefully we'll be able to save it. We're getting there with this one, but I'm having to take a lot of cuts to try and get rid of that stripe in the middle of it. So it's probably going to be nip and tuck. We'll see what we end up with. We're taking the finish cut on this one now. You can see right there, there's still just a tiny little spot of that gouge that was in it. Hopefully the finish cut will take care of that. Otherwise, we ain't worrying about it. And we got our fingers crossed that there's enough meat left in it that it's still above discard. Okay, well, at least one success. That little black spot from the gouge is gone. So this one here, bad news, people. It's at 10.102. So it's 12 thousandths of an inch beyond the discard thickness. That's no good. If it was, you know, maybe if it was, you know, for something that was already in service and was going to go down the road, whatever, I'd probably let it slide for my own car. But this has got to go in and get certified, and they measure all this stuff. So this will not pass. That's the end of the line for this one. Now we can put our brakes together. So we've basically got 4 groups of parts here. Don't ask me why I've got an extra one of those. This here is our used stuff that we're going to put back in. So we've got the parking brake lever, the parking brake strut, and the little retainer that holds the top of the shoes. This here is our shoes. Here is the 1/2 of the hold down kit. And these parts, man, they're getting cheap. They used to give you 2 of these, right? Used to get 2 of those for each spring. Now you only get 1. But hey, I guess the stuff is cheap. And then here is the adjuster kit. And this is for the left side. Now, it's important that you check your parts, because let me show you something that I found out when I did the right side. I get it all put together, and I go to put the adjuster together, and the adjuster lever won't go on. I go, what the heck is going on with there? Well, I look at it. Look at how narrow the slot that they give you for this is. What the hell? And as usual, these are name brand parts. So we have to knock that out. I was so impressed that the shoe came with the pin already installed. Unfortunately, it's junk. Luckily, they give us one in the adjuster kit that actually works. You can't make this stuff up, kids. So those, I'll put them in my brake parts drawer, because all I got to do is stick them on the lathe and just touch it with a tool, and they'll be good to go. But this is the stuff that you run into working on cars, man. So we're just going to go, we're going to knock that out. Just use a hammer to punch and it'll come right out, and we'll knock the new one in, and I'll be right back. Okay, let's put this thing together, shall we? See if I can do it in one take. First thing we're going to do is the nail or the pin. Now, we're going to put these shoes, they're primary and secondary. For the sake of argument, I'm going to call them front and rear. You see the one has got a little less lining on it than the other one. See that one? The lining goes all the way to the top, and this one, it ends there. That's the front shoe. So that always goes toward the front of the car. Now, everybody's got their own way of dealing with these hold downs. Here's what I do. I grab it like that with a needle nose vice grip. Some guys just use a pair of slip joint pliers. Some guys use, there's an actual tool for it that I have one, but I've just always done it this way and it works fine for me. Now, it's not a bad idea to put a little lube here on these 3 points. You can put some grease. I just put anti-seize on them. And now our shoe is going to go the hold down nail through there. And then we're going to catch we're going to get that on there. We've also caught I'll show you in a sec. We've caught the push rod for the wheel cylinder. And then we stick our little spring over here. And push this guy over. Whoa. It's hard when it doesn't have that inner seat. It's cheap buggers. And turn it 90 degrees. There. That shoe is on. You can see here how we've got that. The push rod for the wheel cylinder. Engage. There's a little slot there for it. And that goes there. Now, we got to get the rear shoe ready. First thing we have to do is install the parking brake lever into it. Oh, I'm missing a tool. Hang on. So here's our parking brake lever. I just put a little anti-seize around it there like that. It goes in through there. And then this little horseshoe clip goes on. Grab it with a needle nose plier. And then squish. There. That's all there is to that. Sometimes they'll give you a little Belleville washer to put in behind there, but like I said, these parts kits are getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and you don't seem to get those sort of things anymore. Unbelievable. Now we're going to install the parking brake strut. And this part with the spring goes toward the front. Whoops. Ah. Let's get that on there. Sorry. Deb's gone in the house. She had stuff to do, so I'm the official videographer again. So that goes over that. And that's going to engage onto there. But it won't quite engage until we get the other shoe on. Now, same thing. We're going to put our nail. Let me move the camera to the back side, so we can see what we're doing over there. Hang on. There we go. So we're going to stick our nail through the hole. Well, this is much easier to do because I'm right-handed. It's just more easy when it's on this side. Okay, now, you see that there? We have to hook this onto the parking brake cable, which is pretty easy right now because there's no tension on it. So what we're going to do is give the brake cable just a little pull. I'll show you what I've done in a sec. There. So what we did is pulled it out a little bit just to take up all the slack in it. Otherwise this thing will fall off no matter every time you move it. And we don't want that. Okay. Now, same thing. We're going to lube up the back side of our shoe here. And then we're going to put that, there we are. Get the nail through the hole. We're going to get the parking strut engaged onto there. Good. And now we'll get our hole down, the spring, and the little clip. Where'd it go? There it is. Alrighty. Okay. So now we got to go to the other end of the parking brake strut and make sure it's there. Okay. Perfect. So far, so good. Oh, look, we've got that not engaged. There. There we go. Alrighty. So now, what we got to do is, this is the operating cable. God, we can't see too well, can we? There we go. This is the operating cable for the self-adjuster. So we're going to lay that. First we got to, sorry. All right, this is the backing plate for the springs or the hole, the retainer for the shoes, whatever you want to call it. It's probably got a name. I could look it up in the book, but can't be bothered. Get on there. Too much gobs of paint on there. That'll actually help us because it'll hold this thing in place. There we go. All right. Okay, where were we? Oh yeah. So we're gonna get this thing over there like that. We're gonna get our first spring. Here's where, you know, they're all a little bit different. They've all got their own kind of combination of springs and whatnot. Use our little tool here and just pull this baby up. There. Just like that. Yep, that's in. That's in. All good. Okay. Now, what we're going to do on the back side, we're going to put in this. This is the guide. There we go. This is the guide for the self-adjuster cable, and it just fits nicely. You see there, it's got a little step on the back of it, and that fits right into that hole there, just like that. And then this spring goes through it. Like that. And same thing, hooks onto there. And once we got that done, then we get this here and put that in its guide there. Get in there. Sometimes it gets a little close to the shoe like that one is. Just give it a little pry with a screwdriver. There we go. There. And just leave that hang like that. Now, we are going to put our self-adjuster together. Left-hand thread for the left side. So we just unscrew it. Put a little anti-seize on it. And screw it back in all the way. And then this side, again, they used to give you a little washer to put on there. No more. Oh, that's really nicely made. Look at that. Man. This, I've said it before, I know. This was name brand stuff, you know. I bought name brand stuff on purpose. Okay, so the end that's not threaded goes against the back. All right, and then we're going to get that, our star wheel in there like that. Once we got the star wheel in, we get this here spring, and this end of it, this funny shaped end, goes to this end because it's got to coexist with the parking brake lever. And that goes in there like that. You see, I don't know if you can see. Let me get a better view of this here. Get that out of the road. It wants to be in the road, doesn't it? Okay, well, so be it. But there's that hole back in. Trying to get, there we are. You can see the hole there. So that goes in like that and hooks in like that. And then the other end, let me close up this pair of pliers. Okay, ready? The other end of it goes to there. Awesome. Now, we'll put the self-adjuster together. So first thing we do is put the spring on. Okay, let me see here. Where's it gonna give you a better angle? There? All right. So the spring goes on like that, over that pin. Just like that. And then our lever goes on, the big hole goes over that, and then you push it up like that, right? And then, here's our trick, our trickery. We grab this end of the spring with a vice grip and put it over. Now, once we've got that done, we just push it all the way up and hook in our little cable. And then we got to make sure it works. There you go. You can see it, and that's how the self-adjuster works. Sometimes what you have to do, sometimes you have to grab these, just the end of them, if they're not working right, and just give them a little twist like that. And it'll help them bite the star wheel a little better. But that one's working fine. Now, the last thing I would normally do at this point would be get our brake drum here and do kind of a rough adjustment, you know. But I can't do that because I ordered a brand new pair of drums, which will be standard size, and we'll adjust the shoes to fit them once they show up. There we go. I'll hold that on for now. And, oh, we can also release this now. It won't go anywhere. So that's it. Aside from waiting on 2 brake drums, this thing is ready to go back in the truck. I'll see how time allows us to when we actually go about putting it in. Maybe by then the drums will be here. Maybe they won't. It's not that big a deal anyway. Well, that'll do it for another one. I'm really happy. I've been looking at that rear end leaning against the wall over there for 2 or 3 years. It's good to have it finally ready to go in the truck. The last hurdle will be when we get the truck in here, we have to see how the U-bolts are. If they come off nice, they come off nice. If not, I'll just run down to the spring shop and get some new ones. It's not a big deal. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll come back and see us again soon. And until we meet again, this is Kevin saying so long from the Claremont Classic Garage.